Oh no, this is working. Is my microphone working? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear
All right.
you.
I thought it wasn't plugged in, and then I just saw it was plugged in.
No,
So
you're good. You're good.
all right.
All right. So I have known Mr. Strickland for a few years. I think we met at Nink, and
Yes.
it's funny because before I knew who you were, I I had no idea about anything, and then all of a sudden, right after that first Nink that you and I first said hello to one another, and I started seeing your stuff everywhere, and then I was just like, holy crap! Like this for me, like your stuff just came out of nowhere, and I read your first couple of books. I liked them, and I was like, all right, I can see what you're doing here. And then it correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seemed like you just got like bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like you just shot up so quickly with your sales and your books and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I coming out of nowhere. I started publishing in 2018, but then there was one year that right after I quit my job, I sort of was able to scale, and like things just started taking off in the right way. And so yeah, it did sort of feel like there was like a group of months that just like everything took off.
Yeah. So did you quit the job because the books were selling, or did you that was just a whole different thing?
I quit the job because it was the family business. It was my dad's dry cleaner, and the choice was that he was retiring, so I would have to buy the business, and I didn't want to buy the business. I was making just enough that it was it was worth quitting, but it was still tight. But my wife still had her job, and I sort of just replaced just enough of the income that it made sense. And then it was probably a year later that everything really took off.
And I've met your wife. She's lovely and she's very supportive too, which you don't find a lot.
Do you not? See, I've heard this, and I've that's foreign to me. Yeah, she's always been very supportive of the books, and but I never put us out, I guess, in some ways. Like it wasn't, I just didn't come to her and say, hey, I'm gonna quit my job and start writing books. It was, I sort of proved it along the way.
Right.
So
Yeah. Unfortunately, I meet a lot of authors that their spouses are not supportive at all. Like I'll see you guys at Nink, and saw both of you at BoucherCon.
yeah.
A couple weeks before that. So it always surprises me that we need that. We need that supportive person in our lives to we're creative people, so we're just going to kind of throw it against the wall and see what sticks, kind of thing. And you need that other person to go, hold on, what are you doing here? Let's try to base some facts around what we're doing.
Right. But your wife is the same way. I've seen her at the conferences.
Yeah.
So
Which is so helpful for me because she'll talk me off that ledge. If I'm like, oh, my sales, oh, Amazon's awful or blah blah, and she's like, yeah, but you're getting stuff from other publishers, and you're doing, like, don't 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 freak out, and don't just immediately jump to the next thing because you had a bad couple of days in a row. And she really helps me to just take a step back with that, which I find long term it really helps.
yeah. Yeah, we'll go on walks, and I'll kind of tell her what's going on in the book that I'm working on, and she'll listen to all my gripes, all my moans about how awful it is, and how I'm struggling, and she'll
Right.
pinpoint, oh, you are at the midway point, or you're at the 10,000 words, because every time that you are at this point, this is exactly what you say. So
Right.
then she talks me off the ledge, and works out the story with me.
Yeah. And I think that's important too, because a lot of people that aren't writers don't realize. I don't care who you are. You get to a point in everything you're writing when you're like, oh my god, this is awful. Why am I wasting my time? This is just, you have the imposter syndrome, or you just don't really believe in your skills at that moment. And I think that's just normal. That's just normal being a creative person, whether you're a writer or a musician, whatever you're doing. You get those points where you feel like, I'm wasting my time. This is garbage, and it never goes away. I mean, it's just you learn to control it, and you have somebody in your life that's your cheerleader, and I think that's like really really important as well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you.
And I follow you on Facebook, and I'm like, you guys are traveling the world. You guys are going to concerts. You guys are doing a lot of fun stuff. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good. I would imagine it's a good getaway from your brain for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's always you're always worried or in the middle of a story and thinking. I have that problem of like guilting myself of I shouldn't be doing this. I should be writing the book, but that's not healthy.
Yeah,
And you should be able to separate yourself and try to get away a little bit. So
yeah, I think that's definitely important. So, are you writing? Are you a one book at a time person, or are you multiple projects?
one book at a time. Although every time I write a book, I think about the next book, but I just like when that happens, I'll just maybe scribble down some notes, but I have to not force myself, but I have to make myself stay focused on those single book because if I try to jump into another story, I don't think that my mind can I don't know, keep track of the writing that way. It's one thing to throw down notes and scenes, but another to word for word
Right.
each chapter. I can't do that. I don't know. Do you do that? Do you do
Oh
more
yeah,
than
I
one?
work on multiple things. I'm working 5 and 6 different projects at once.
So I think that's why. Well, I'm not you, but some people they never finish a book because then they're like, well, 15,000 words, and then they'll just go on to the next one, and then never come back to it. At least that's what I remember seeing some other people when I was taking writing classes or whatever in college. It just felt like everybody liked to talk about writing, but never actually do it
Well, yeah,
or
everybody
finish
wants to say they're an author. They just don't want to do the
it.
author part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've learned, even if I'm doing multiple series at once, finish these books, because once you get to a certain point, did you get to a certain point in your series where you all of a sudden the sales were there?
Um, like, what do you mean? I guess with the sales were
Like
there.
I when I did a 12 book series, Dirty Deeds, and when I hit like book 5, all of a sudden it took off more. I've like doubled and tripled my sales from that point.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose book six was probably when everything started taking off. I don't know if that's because I went heavier on the ads or if that just was the magic number for sell through. It probably was a combination of it because I wouldn't have
Right,
gone heavy on the ads if it was just two books, and and then people also like to see that they're not going to be waiting around for the next book as much as well, when you have the one book and they're like, oh, how long is it going to take you to write?
right.
That they can just fly through it.
How many books are you putting out a year in that series?
Oh man, uh, I'd safely say it's two. Like there's some years where years like it. I think I published it in 2021, the first book, and I had three books out that year in that series. Um, the next year, I think I only put one book out that year, uh, and then the year after that, it had to be two or three. So that's why I say safely two. Three three is what I should be doing. I don't know if that's what I'm actually doing though, because this year, I don't know. Maybe one, maybe two.
Right. But you're going heavy on just the Amazon ads, or you also doing Facebook ads?
It was I do both. I do a lot of different things. I do Amazon ads, and then when it really took off was when I put a lot of money into Facebook ads, um, and the end of that was like mid to end of 2023, and now Facebook ads aren't as good as they were when I was doing that. I'm not saying that they're just not. What I was doing isn't doing as well. So now it's
Right.
trying to figure out the new way, the new algorithm, the new ad copy, the new images. Um, but I spend a lot on Amazon, and I also do some of the AMG, DSP, and don't ask me what all that means because I really have no idea. They just people tell me what it is, and I say keep doing it, please, because
Right.
yeah.
That's right. So give everybody a quick of what your book is, what your series is.
All right. So, oh, I thought I had a book. I don't have a book at the desk. It's the main series that I have is the Sheriff Elvin Halley series. I think I've got a book 2 here. I'll show you book 2. Is that loud? This is book 2. It's Murder in the Mountains. The first one is called Buried in the Backwater. It's about a newly elected sheriff in West Virginia solving crimes. I like to think of it as like Joe Pickett or Longmire meets Justified. If you've ever watched that show or read the books by Elmer Leonard,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was going for because it's kind of an Appalachia, depending on where you're at. And that's basically it. And each book is its own crime that he solves, but there's the overall like character arcs that go through the entire series. And I think that that's where I build some of the hooks in to get you into the next
Right.
book in the series.
Very cool. I've read the first couple. I think I have 3 and 4 on my Kindle.
Okay.
With 5,000 other books to
Yeah, I bet.
to read.
I bet. And they're actually originally spin-offs of another series that I have that is co-authored with Tony Urban. That's where the sheriff was introduced, but you don't necessarily need to read that series to know this one. And that one, by the way, is the Carolina McKay series.
So for you, is there an end in sight? Is there a last book?
I don't think that there's ever going to be a last book in mind. I think I see story arcs ending, certain characters that may or may not continue on. But I feel like the only way that you end a character is if that character dies, and I don't see the main character ever dying. And so, as long as people enjoy the books, I think I would, and I enjoy writing them, then I think that I would continue on, and I can always think of new, ideas and arcs and characters that can come in and mess up his life.
As a writer, you never want to write just to write because, I don't like this character anymore. I've given everything I can, but the readers still want this character. You hope you still are making stories that are good enough. You can do, hey, I'm on book 87, and people still love this character.
Yeah. As long as I enjoy writing it and they enjoy reading it, I think that's the two. If people aren't into it, then maybe it's time to retire it. But and if I'm not into it, then it's time to retire it.
Yeah, because I think the readers can tell when you're just kind of phoning it in, and you're just kind of going through the, let's hit the next beat and the next beat and the next beat, but you're not really giving them anything new or exciting for that character. I think as a reader, I can always tell when I get to that point in a series, and I'm like, I think they're writing this for the money now.
Yeah, that's disappointing if you can tell that.
Yeah, and thankfully it doesn't happen all that often, which is nice. You're still 20 books into Longmire, and you're still like, this is still a great character and a great series, and you can tell Craig Johnson loves writing it. He's still a big fan of the character and stuff. So I think that's important. How was it for you for going about your con?
Um, it was all right. Yeah. It was a different type of conference, I think, than what I'm used to going to.
Right.
We're indie authors, and we do things a certain way, and there's a lot of traditionally published authors there that they do not do the same.
No.
So and some of what we do is so foreign to them, and some of what they do is foreign to me.
Yeah.
I'm not chasing people for blurbs or anything like that, and they're not, you know, necessarily trying to figure out how to advertise like the same way that we do. So,
Yeah.
but overall, I was on a panel. I got to moderate. I think it was my first panel kind of experience, and it was good. And then meeting other authors there. That's out of the conferences. That's always what I think I get the most out of, more than any sort of panel or session.
Yeah, I mean that's why I go to Nink every year. It's the networking. It's the just meeting, and it's not necessarily meeting people that maybe are writing in our genre. It's just people that are writing that understand, this crazy life we're doing. And I
Yeah.
think for me that's a lot of fun. That was my second BoucherCon, and I was surprised that it's mostly readers. More than half of the people there are readers, which is nice. So you're having conversations with people, and they're asking you about your books because they read your type
Yeah.
of book. I think that's a great part of it too.
Yeah, that was you made a good point. I forgot about that part. It was so different that it wasn't even like segregated as far as this portion's the author and this is the reader. It's just everyone all together, and you don't
Yeah,
necessarily know who you're going to be talking to.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. All right, couple more questions for you before I let you go to get that next book finished. Um, who are two or three of the thriller authors that inspired you to begin with to start writing?
Oh man. Well, I mean, if you really want to go way back, we could talk about like, R.L. Stein, but I don't think anyone wants to read Goosebumps right now. But I'm a big Stephen King fan, and I know that he's horror, but he's also bridges that gap of
Yeah.
of the thrillers. And then as far as like what I'm writing, CJ Box is a huge influence with his Joe Pickett series. Um, and even though you compare, like, I know that I'm not writing the same character, even though some people want to point that it's nothing the same. Well, that's the point. It's my own.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he was a big inspiration as far as that
Yeah.
goes. And then my favorite author who um, writes thrillers, and he's starting to get into a little bit more of the science fiction thriller, is Blake Crouch.
Yeah.
And I don't know, every time he puts a book out, I read it, and he's part of what inspired me to be indie, because he started off that way.
Right. Yeah. 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 His stories, his work is great, and his story of starting out and everything is also really fascinating as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, who are some of the thriller authors out there now, us indie guys, that you think more people should be reading?
Oh, I mean, that's tough because there's so many, there's so many authors. And I wouldn't want to, forget anyone, but okay, so this one's a little bit of a cop out because I co-author with him, but I do think that people should be reading more of Tony Urban. He does some horror, but he's also doing thrillers, and he writes with me on the Carolina McKay series, and he's got a new one. What is it called? I think it's the Lee Kilburn books. I could be totally wrong about his character name, and I'm sorry if that's the case. But no, I just really like the way that he writes. There's certain authors that you can read that like when you read them, you can tell they're a good author, but something about what they're writing just isn't clicking with me. Like, I have to really be in a certain mood for people. And if I read Tony's books, for me, I just can always like get drawn right into it.
Right.
So another person is Noelle Eiley, I think is her name. She writes standalone, mostly psychological fiction, and she's another one that I just picked up. And now I've read like 3 of her books. I don't know how many she has, but and every time I really enjoy it, and I haven't been slowed down while reading her books. And then I think another one would be LT Ryan. He does a lot of co-authoring, and he has a lot of content out there, and it's always, I don't know, really it sucks you in, and is thrilling, as far as
Yeah,
what
yeah,
a that's a good thing for thrillers. So I think everyone should be reading more of him.
yeah. All good picks. I am sure I will see you out there at some point at a BoucherCon or a Nink convention again, or
Yeah,
or something.
Author Nation is my next one, and that's in Vegas in November. I'm actually doing a talk there,
Oh
so
wow, very
I
good.
know.
All right. Well, you know what? Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it too.
Yeah, hey, not a
So.
problem.